course, have you read any good books lately? Let's do a book review.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to do a book review. You know what I'd love to do a book review on?
What?
One of America's favorite presidents. And I mean, really one of America's favorite presidents.
Bill Clinton.
Ha!
Barack Obama.
Close. Oh, very, very close. Very, very.
Oh.
Except you're very wrong. It's actually Roosevelt. No, not that Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt.
You know what? Nobody your age knows about Theodore Roosevelt, do they?
Well, they know that he was, he's on Rushmore. That's kind of what he's known for, which is depressing because he is pretty much the most interesting person you would ever want to meet.
How so? How so?
Well, let me set it up for you. He was a kind of sickly child, had asthma, kind of a runt, and he was one of the coolest people that ever lived. Mm-hmm. Peter.
Yeah, he always worked at physical health. He
was a huge enthusiast of hiking, boxing, wrestling, swimming, horseback riding.
He loved boxing. He loved boxing. He loved to box.
Right? But he wasn't just a brunty guy. He also was an intellectual. He wrote dozens, if not hundreds, of books. Not to mention, he was president of the United States. Mm-hmm. He worked in, I believe. You
know what the most interesting office he ever held to me was? Police chief of New York City.
I was going to talk about that. See, I'm actually, there's a special story, including the biography, I really want to get to, but first I'm going to lead up to it.
Go ahead. Go.
Even at a young age, though,
yeah,
he was really fascinated. I love the guy because he's just like me. He couldn't focus on one thing. He had to do everything. He actually said in his biography that he wanted to dedicate his life to science. Really. He wanted to become a scientist, a zoologist. When he was a young kid, he and his couple, I think his cousin or brother, decided to found the Roosevelt National History Museum.
Yes.
And they went to the local harbor and they actually got a seal and, skinned it and they just brought it in and just, this is our museum. And they looked up the scientific name and put a little placard right there. I mean, he really was, even as a kid, an eccentric guy that just wanted to do everything.
Yeah, but he was easily bored.
Just like me, yeah. He loved reading.
And me too. Yeah. I have to do 5 things in order to get any one thing done.
Well, exactly. Supposedly, he read about a book a day. That's, I don't think he mentioned...
That's even better than you.
Oh, are you kidding me? That's way better than me. That's supposedly. See, back in that day, the president didn't really have to do that much. Right. Anyway, as a president, he was known for building a canal, working with both sides of the aisle. I'll get to his presidency in a little bit because he talks a lot about his presidency. But I do want to talk about him as a fire chief.
Police chief.
Sorry, thank you, police chief. He really understood how it ought to work.
Yeah.
There's this little anecdote he talks about how this Nazi was coming into town to give a big speech. Mm-hmm. And Roosevelt specifically says, I don't like this guy, but he has the right to free speech. But Teddy, he has a smart one. He's got a smart idea. So he doesn't want to take the sitting down. So what he does is he makes sure that only Jewish police officers are protecting this guy.
Yes.
So you have this big anti-Semite talking about how awful the Jews are while he's being protected by a Jewish policeman.
And Jaime Linderman and Joey Cohen, the Cohen brothers.
He's such a magnificent troll. By the way, I was listening to this as an audiobook in the subway. It just so happened to be like National Police Officer Day, and I saw some police officers from Orange County there. Anyway, fun story. But as president, he was really a doer, a mover and shaker. He's kind of what people idealize presidents now as this presidential person. Mm-hmm. They're really thinking of Teddy Roosevelt. He was a charismatic, well-spoken, kind-hearted guy, was brave, strong, smart, willing to talk and work with people, understood the Constitution and history and yada yada. And interestingly, he's credited as the founder of progressivism.
Yes.
So we'll probably talk a little bit more about progressivism, the philosophy, and the idea.
Well, he disdained both parties. Eventually, in his life, after he was president, he really disdained the partisan politics of his day, just like somebody else who's now occupying the White House, right? And he actually started his own political party called the Bull Moose Party.
That's right.
Which was a failure, by the way. He didn't get elected, but he did something for progressivism that modern progressives really should learn about.
Yes, we'll talk more about that later. How are we doing on time? I don't want to be.
We're at 5:50.
Okay. One thing that I really appreciate about it is he gave a commentary on his views. He definitely was not pro-business. He was pro-free. He understood free market, and you got to let it open. But he was very anti-monopolies. But he was also open opportunities. He wanted unions, but he did not want them to go out of control and abuse people. Mm-hmm. And he makes that very clear. He was very clear about corporations. He wanted corporations to grow and thrive. He didn't want them to abuse workers. He's
writing this in 1913. It was published in 1913.
The
world was a very, very, very different place. America was a very different place. Yes. Labor unions were still in the ascendancy. They had not yet achieved what they did after World War II. They didn't rise to their zenith until World War II was over. So he's helping them to move up because he believed in the idea.
But he still was critical when they were back. He points that out. Even back then, people called people socialists. Right. To deter them. And, he was like, no, I'm not a socialist. I'm very anti-communist. I just believe in, and this is what I mean by Teddy Roosevelt emulates what America wishes they would have in a president. The sad thing is that those Americans think that this is 1919. They think that this is the beginning of the 20th century. Times are extraordinarily different. And Teddy Roosevelt really did embody that sense of America. I mean, the guy got shot during a speech, and he's such a man, he just keeps going with the speech.
He's a bull moose.
He was a bull moose. Right. He did run.
He was also an environmentalist. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah. He was established the National Park Service.
That's right.
And this is what I really think that he'll be most remembered for, and I think that's one of the best legacies a president could ask for. Yep. If you've been to Yosemite, he worked with this gentleman named John Muir. Muir?
Muir.
Founder of probably the greatest outdoorsman that ever lived, American outdoorsman that ever lived. He and Teddy Roosevelt formed the National Park Service, dedicated to preserving nature and for Americans to come in and enjoy it.
Yep.
And I think that he will be remembered very fondly for that, because he was an environmentalist, and he clearly did a great job, because places that he helped found, like Yosemite, are still wonderful places to visit. I've been there many, many times, and I love going out there.
But it's interesting. Comment, if you can, about his transition from being a Republican to not being a Republican, because it's a very timely topic, actually.
It is. A lot of so. I have to say that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party of his era were radically different than now.
Yeah,
radically different.
Yeah.
That being said, he was mostly. It was kind of funny how annoyed. It's the same basic complaints. Congress isn't working together, and they're not reaching across the aisle. They're not speaking to the little guy, the people. I mean, it really, and reflects the fact nothing's really changed. It's the same complaints.
I would differ on that, because today we have members of the Democrat Party trying to shred the Constitution of the United States.
Well, I'm saying the rhetoric.
That didn't exist in 2000.
What I'm saying is the rhetoric hasn't changed. The rhetoric of the people are tired of Congress not doing their job, and they're not listening to the little guy. Rhetoric.
I think the rhetoric has gotten more purple, much more purple than it was in his time. No, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I completely disagree as a person who just.
No, I think that there could never conceivably be what's going on now in the Congress of the United States and the House of Representatives.
Well, I'm not saying the process or the people haven't changed. They have, and
Right.
certainly, the amount of lobbyists that has skyrocketed. That totally changes the dynamics in Congress.
That's true.
There's, and also with social media, our ability to contact Congress people, because phones were barely a thing back in his day. Everyone nowadays, anyone can call up their congressman and tell them to do this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, this is before World War I.
Yeah, exactly. Right. By the way,
we're running out of time. Give us your bottom line on why you like the guy.
I like the guy because he was an equal opportunity, fair person. He was a genuine guy that had a remarkable breadth and also depth of interests, and was willing not only to talk about ideas and to debate ideas in the traditional school of debate, but he also was willing to get stuff done. I mean, he was a military guy. He's known for these Rough Rider campaigns and literally being in the thick of battle and being on the hunt. He actually got his name, Teddy Roosevelt, because he refused to kill a
charging up San Juan Hill. Yes, charging up in Cuba. In Cuba.
Yes, the Spanish-American War. Yes. I think what people should realize is that the Teddy Roosevelt, the sort of platonic vision they have of a president, has already been done, and it really was for a different time with a different context than what we are facing now.
Right, and you folks out there, if you not only read the autobiography that we have just heard a review of, but also I would recommend David McCullough, one of our finest historians, living historians, did a fine book about Roosevelt. Here's some homework for you folks out there, all of our fans in Germany and the Philippines, and by the way, we're picking up people in Switzerland. We're back in Japan, by the way. Why? Here's some homework. Here's a homework question for you people. Why was Teddy Roosevelt chosen to be one of the presidents on Mount Rushmore? Why?
Because he was awesome.
Yeah, but there was a lot of politics about that.
But in any case, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please make sure to share. Did I say share? I meant share. And don't forget to become a patron. And make sure to help keep us going, help support us. If you just help us out with $10, McIntyre will throw free stuff at you.
You get a free copy of my book.
I mean,
give us your email. Give us your email when you make the contribution. Give us your email. Make sure you do that, and I'll send you the book as a PDF. It's a secure PDF with a passcode. You'll love it. You'll love it.
I loved it. You'll love it. Everyone loves it. See you guys later.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Talk to you soon. Goodbye and good luck.
Good night.